I think that's my cue to welcome you all here, Governor Scott. We're honored that you chose to make this historic announcement here with us. I'm Isaac Lidsky. I'm the CEO of this business here, ODC Construction. In 2011, with some partners, we bought a very humble, struggling business, and our hope was to turn it into an excellent company we could be proud of. 7 years later, this team of amazing folks you see here with me has worked miracles. The company is about, depending on how you count, somewhere between 15 and 20 times larger, highly profitable, and best of all, we've been able to employ literally hundreds of folks over the years to get to work here in the state. Now, so I'm immensely proud. Now, we had a lot of help. We had a lot of help from our state and from our governor. At every turn, Governor Scott has been committed to common sense regulations, to business growth, to really supporting us as we do something pretty straightforward. Try to put people to work, try to grow a business we can be proud of. So we're proud of the business, we're proud of our state, we're proud of you. Thank you for being here, Governor. And I think it's now my privilege to introduce the Lieutenant Governor of Puerto Rico, Luis Rivera.
Thank you, Isaac. Thank you all. Good morning, Governor. Good morning, Ann. And it's with great pleasure, it's an honor to introduce a good friend of mine, a good friend of Puerto Rico, a good friend of all Hispanics. The most dreadful moments we faced in the island, Governor Scott was there with us consistently. Right. We will be forever grateful. We will be forever grateful to you, Governor, for your knowledge on how to handle an emergency, your consistency, your clarity, and above all, your leadership. Thank you. A man of high moral values, a man of loyalty, who has raised together with Ann a wonderful family, who has always been involved with his community, who has brought change to Florida, who from humble beginnings built honestly one of the largest corporations in this great nation. That's why I support Governor Rick Scott for the Senate. For bringing better opportunities for our children through better education, with innovative programs like Step Up, like STEM, like allowing the choice for parents to send their schools to their children so they can have better opportunities. That's why I support Rick Scott for Senate. For turning around this economy, like Isaac said, bringing unemployment down from double digits to now it's like full employment here in Florida. From slashing unnecessary regulations to allow small and medium-sized business like this to grow and create better jobs. That's why I support Rick Scott for senator. For better health care. If anyone in Washington can contribute with better health care ideas, is Rick Scott, who knows health care and who will bring free market principles to make true, quality, accessible health care for all Americans. And that's why I support Rick Scott for the Senate. For security. And he wears that Navy hat for a reason, because he has a tight hand on the helm. And I've seen him working in emergencies in Puerto Rico and throughout Florida, throughout hurricanes, throughout criminal acts, and he has managed everything with his team with great leadership. And I know his postures on Cuba and the Castro regime in Venezuela and Maduro, that will bring foreign relations to a new level at the U.S. Senator, as a U.S. Senate, and that's why I support Rick Scott for the U.S. Senate. So as a Hispanic Republican who shares the same values with Governor Rick Scott, and do we all realize that we need a strong and passionate voice in the U.S. Senate at this moment? That's why I support Rick Scott for the U.S. Senate, to become the new U.S. Senator for the great state of Florida. Do you support Rick Scott to be our U.S. Senator? ¿Apoyamos a Rick Scott para que sea nuestro próximo senador en los Estados Unidos? With you I leave the next senator for the great state of Florida, Rick Scott.
Thank you very much. Well, first I want to thank everybody for being here. This is a unbelievable day for Anime. I want to thank Luis for being here. This is a great state. This is the melting pot of the world. And this state showed up, and we helped Puerto Ricans that came here because the problems that happened after Maria, and we showed up in Puerto Rico. And we do that in this state. So thank God there's individuals like Luis that cares so much about their island. And thank God there's so many Puerto Ricans that have come here and lived the dream of this country. And we're going to continue to be the best friend in the world for Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico and in the United States. I want to thank Isaac. I want to thank Isaac for putting this together and allowing us to be here today. And I want to just congratulate Isaac and his family and everybody at ODC for what they've done. They are living the dream of this country. The dream of this country is you can start from anywhere. It doesn't matter what zip code you came from. You can do anything in this country. There are so many businesses like Isaac's that are prospering because of what we've done over the last 7 years to make this the place that business can succeed better than anywhere in the world. You heard what Isaac said. They've grown their number of employees, which is very important to me, especially if you run on a jobs platform. They've got offices around the state. So let's give a big round of applause to Isaac, his family, his partners, and everybody here. Congratulations, buddy. So next I want to thank my wife. 8 years ago on this date, I announced that we would run for governor and first lady. And she was probably the only person that really had a belief that I could win. You know, I'd never been involved in politics before, but she stood by me forever. We met in high school. We got married when we were 19 years old, and we've lived the dream of this country, to get to build businesses and live in the most beautiful place in the United States. So I want to give a big round of applause and thank my wonderful wife, Anne. So 8 years ago today, I announced I was going to run for governor. What did the naysayers, the critics immediately say? A business guy with no background in government has no chance to run this state. There's no chance they can turn this state around. I ran on a campaign of 700,000 jobs over 7 years, and why? This state had lost over 800,000 jobs in 4 years. We still had this beautiful weather, but we increased regulations, we increased taxes on people in this state, but we stopped it. We've now, you, business people, job creators, have added 1.5 million jobs almost. The 4 years before I got elected, home prices dropped nearly 50%. What's happened? They've gone way up since then, in the last 7 years. Homes are being foreclosed upon. Over 40% of the homes are underwater on their mortgages the day I got elected. That's completely changed now. So let's think of what we've done in the last 7 years in this state. Almost 1.5 million jobs. $10 billion in tax reductions. Over $9 billion in debt reductions in this state. We've cut regulations. We've streamlined the permitting process. We've had over a 40% increase in tourism just in 7 years. We've outpaced the nation in job creation, outpaced the nation in labor force, outpaced the nation in GDP growth. People are flocking to Florida because this is where you can live the dream of this country. Over 300,000 people are moving to the state a year. That was not true between 2006 and 2010. People were leaving the state because you couldn't find a job, you're losing your house, and you might be losing your car. So now we've got to take that same mission to D.C. We've got to take that same can-do attitude that it doesn't matter what the naysayers say. It doesn't matter what the critics say. If you ignore them, think of what you can accomplish. So today, with my wife by my side, I'm announcing I am running for the U.S. Senate for the great state of Florida. Now, what's the first thing the naysayers are going to say? You can't fix Washington. One person out of 100 in the Senate, oh, you can't make any change. They told me that when I went to Tallahassee. And you showed them. Yep. They told me that when I was in business. You couldn't succeed in business. We can. Now, we have to all acknowledge Washington's a disaster. It's dysfunctional. There's a lot of old tired thinking up there. It's not heading in the right direction. Now, here's what we shouldn't be doing. You know, we shouldn't be sending the same type of people to Washington. We should say, we're going to make change. But we can't sit here and say we're going to do the same thing and we're going to get a different result. I'm not accepting the same result. We can change Washington. We must change Washington. We will change Washington. Together, let's get Washington to work. In this campaign, I'm going to put out a variety of policy initiatives. And let's start with the obvious. This concept of career politicians has got to stop. We have to have term limits on Congress. We're not going to see a change in Washington if we don't have term limits on Congress. Think about it. If you travel this country, everybody around the country says, you know, we need term limits. There's one place they say we don't need them. Where's that? Washington, D.C. Because it's the career politicians there that don't want to lose their jobs. We have term limits in this state. We have in most states term limits for governor. We have term limits for president, which we should. Why don't we have it for Congress? The first thing they'll say is, oh, it can't be done. You can't get that done. Well, we've tried that. You can't get it done. We can't think that way. We've got to bring new ideas, fresh thinking, and we've got to change the direction of this country for our benefit, not for the benefit of career politicians in Washington, D.C. Now, here's one thing I learned in Tallahassee. If you go to Tallahassee and you make real change, guess what happens? The political insiders, the first thing they're mad at you. And they say, Governor, you just don't fit into Tallahassee. housing. I don't even know my natural dad. I had a wonderful adopted father that had a sixth grade education that had a struggle to put food on the table and get a job. But as you saw in the campaign ads in 2010, I had a wonderful mom. She worked her butt off. She had a lot of jobs, and she said, you live in the greatest country in the world. There is no limitation because of where you live. There is absolutely no limitation. You can accomplish anything. She said, the deck's stacked against you, but you know what? You can accomplish it here. And I said, you're right. The deck might have been stacked against me growing up, but guess what? I had two things going for me. My mom. She was wonderful. She worked her tail off. She said, work your butt off and anything is possible in this country. And the other one is I grew up in this country. In this country, everything is supposed to be accomplishable. There should be no limitations on what you want to accomplish. It shouldn't matter where you start in this country. Everybody has a shot at the dream of this country. And I tell people, even though I grew up poor, I actually believe I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth because of this country. Because the choices and the opportunities that I had to make in this country that you couldn't make in any other country. You know, it seems to be fashionable now to attack and badmouth this country. I'm sick of it. I've had the opportunity to travel around. There is no place like America. And we need to thank God every day for this country and our opportunity to be here. So, thank you for joining the fight. Thank you for being here. I'm going to say Spanish after I finish this, but let's get to work. Yo aspiré a gobernador para crear trabajos en oportunidades para todas las familias en nuestro estado. Desde diciembre de 2010, la Florida ha creado casi 1.5 millones de trabajos en el sector privado y la tasa de desempleo ha bajado al 3.9%. Ahora estoy esperando su senador federal. Podemos cambiar Washington. Tenemos que cambiar Washington. Juntos vamos a cambiar Washington. Sigamos trabajando. So, let me just finish, show you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being here. This is a real honor. I will bust my butt to win this election. We together will win. And when I get to Washington, I will represent everybody in this state. And I'll be very serious in making sure everybody has a chance to live the dream of this country. That's what we all live in America for, that we all have the dream to accomplish whatever we put our mind to. Thank everybody for being here. Thank Isaac for helping put this together. I want to thank Luis for coming all the way from Puerto Rico, and thank him for his friendship. This is going to be a wonderful ride, and we're going to have a great win, and we're going to change the direction of this country. Have a wonderful day.
Traffic jam.